Here's a question that I hope I can answer, and I do not consider this a minor home repair. If you don't feel comfortable doing something like this, then I would hire a professional. And again, the suggestions that I provide you with in this video might not work for your particular project. These are just suggestions, so here we go. The individual has a door next to a window with a 4x4 supporting a beam. And the first thing I would like to point out is that sometimes the beam is going to be cantilevering over the support area and might not require much support or no support at all. And then you're probably wondering, well, why is that post there to begin with? I don't know. So let's just say you had a situation like this where you had a 16-foot beam, 4x12, let's say, and it's cantilevering 3 feet or even 4 feet into an area like this. And cantilevers can span at least 1/3 the distance. That'd be a little over 5 foot on a 6-foot beam. Then you might just need a minor support, something that's not real heavy duty. But if that's not the case, then you will need to use the jack method that I have at the end of the video. If you're not interested in damaging the exterior of the building, then something like this might work. A 4x4 post that would be wedged into place. And of course, this is a concrete slab. If you have a wood floor, wood framed floor with floor joist, I am going to make another video to give you an idea, because sometimes you can't just shove something in there. It'll put too much pressure on the floor joist and break the floor framing system. So if you have a concrete slab, something like this will work. If not, I'll put a link here or a link at the end of the video for a wood framed floor on how to get the support for that. So just another view of it. We have a 2x4 going all the way across to something solid. And then of course we have a brace, something to keep the 4x4 from moving. You might want to put a brace on the other side also. I didn't put one on here, but you might want to have a brace running across here, because you could see where something like this could actually move if you just have this. If you had another brace connecting it from the 4x4 to a wall framing stud, something like that, you can see where it wouldn't move. I guess at least we hope it wouldn't. In this example, I just cut a notch out of the 4x4. You could actually shape the 4x4 to fit underneath the header a little better. You could actually use a 4x4 and then nail a 2x4 to this side of it, and then attach the 2x4 to the beam. Use the 2x4 to connect it to the wall or the beam and to the 4x4. Pan back. Keep in mind that this does need to clear the other wall framing parts if you are doing something like this. You know, if you don't have a window in the way, you're simply going to be able to put a post under here with a jack. So if you're going to remodel the outside of the house, you're going to tear some of this stuff apart, you're going to replace the window, why not do it and then simply just put a jack underneath here and jack it up and you're done. That'd be the easiest way, and I know I have other videos for that. But again, this method right here, you don't want to mess up the outside of the house. Something like this might work just fine. And again, make sure that you don't have this in the way of replacing your post also. Here's another method that might work for you, a 4x4 with a jack, and you can always have a jack on each side. You know, this way that I have this done right here is under the assumption that the building is not going to move left to right, forward, or backwards. So if it's kind of a situation where it's iffy, you might have to brace the wall up before you can even make this repair. So this is under the assumption that this is not going to move. The wall's not going to move at all. And you could have a 4x4 post on the other side, or 4x6, whatever you think you need. And then a little header across here, or a support beam. Put it on top of a block. And you could always use stakes, drive some stakes into the ground if you're dealing with ground. If you're dealing with concrete, you're going to have to somehow fasten the support post or the temporary support post so it does not move. And it's not a bad idea to attach all of these upper components with some straps, connect them together. I would put this piece in first and then this one, strap everything together, and then this, the one I was going to be using for the jack last. Trust me, I can't tell you how many times I've seen people jack these up on one side and this board falls out. Or when you go to take it apart, this all falls apart and clobbers people on the head there. So not a good idea. So again, something to keep this thing from falling down and keep it in a good position. Now you are going to have situations if you do something like this where you actually jack up the one side and your temporary support beam is going to get at an angle. If it becomes at an angle, I would say more than a half of an inch, 1 inch per foot kind of a thing would be pushing it. But I'll leave that up to you. If you don't know what you're doing, again, keep this thing as level as you possibly can. Remember, you're just going to be pulling the post out and replacing it. This setup right here, you should not use overnight. This is just to replace the post, and hopefully you can do it within less than a half hour and you are done. A screw jack might be preferred over a hydraulic jack. The reason why I say that is that hydraulic jacks can fail. Their seals can break and then they can collapse. A screw jack will not do that. So screw jacks might be a better option here. And again, you can always put one on each side. Use a screw jack on each side. I'm just kind of drew this in there to give you an idea because I've drawn stuff like this for other videos. And I'm just kind of throwing out a different idea for something that might work if you only got to move something a little bit. And to replace a post, I couldn't see where you would need to move this right here more than 1/4 of an inch. And you might not move it at all. If this is all stuccoed on the outside, you're just putting something under here to temporarily support it. And to replace the post, you might actually need to use filler blocks to replace a post like this. So let's say you remove the post, but you can't get it back in. You might need to cut the post a little shorter and drive a 1/2 inch piece of plywood in between the top of the post and the top and the bottom of the beam. So, hey, there it is, magically done. Too bad all projects, just look at it again. Post is gone, reinstalled. Too bad most projects can't be like that. Draw them in there like this and you don't have to worry about anything collapsing. So anyway, again, I have to say something like this, if it's supporting a lot of weight, you might want to contact a professional